everybody doing?
All right.
Bring it up to my face. All right, my name is RaShun Cowan. I am a substance abuse therapist. I graduated from Alabama State. I've done a lot of research on community violence. I've talked and spoken on forums, and I deal with pretty much the aftermath. I deal with men who come from abuse, men who come from domestic violence. I deal with men who deal with substance abuse, right? So they come to me, they come broken, they come wounded. They come and they speak about all of these child issues that they've had. They come and they speak about the regrets that they have, the mistakes that they've made as a child. And one thing that I've learned is the reason why they've made those mistakes are from at least 4 problems that I'm going to talk about today. When I was asked to do this, I had a slew of different topics to talk about, a slew of different things that I could say and speak on, and everything was coming at once, so I had to pretty much figure out what can I say that can pretty much let everybody know what's been going on. Violence is so prominent right now because it's something that is being breathed. Everything you look at, everything you see is pretty much around violence, structured around violence. Even our reality TV shows around violence, and everything that you look at is around violence, even your environment. So usually when I speak, I do group therapy, and I always start off with a quote. And my quote for today is, every problem has in it the seeds of its own solution. So the problem that we have now, what are the seeds? What are the seeds that we're breathing in now? All right, so the first problem that I want to talk about is household economics and parenting style. This is pretty much the foundation. Your household, what your parents do, whether it's single parent households, whether it's both parents households, whether it's one dad, one mom, both dads, 2 moms. What you learn from your house is what you bring on into the environment. And then from there you pick and choose and put into the pot of learning. From there you pick and choose what you feel like is right or wrong, morals and values. All right? Kids have issues dealing with certain things, and they have to learn how to cope with them. All right? So one thing that the kids of today are not grasping is how to cope with their issues, how to cope with the domestic violence at home, how to cope with what's going on in school, failing grades, how to cope with the loss, grief, how to cope with depression, anger, and all of these different things. And they don't know, they don't have an outlet to put that. So what happens? Where do they put it? Where do they put all that energy? Well, they put it into violence. They put it into anger. They put it into all of these different outlets that the media wants to show that us as African Americans, us as a race, are not excelling the way we should be. My second problem that I see is unattended morals and values. These are morals and values that are lying dormant in the back of our minds, right? If they're even there at all. And they're not being nurtured and tended to. There was a quote that used to go around often, and it said, it takes a village to raise a child. And that village used to be our neighbors. It used to be our aunts, our uncles. It used to be the people down the street, the ice cream man, the people that used to help us in our times of need. Well, now the village that we have is called social media. Now social media is what's teaching us how to do this and do that, and the rights and wrongs. Social media is teaching us how to address different altercations. Social media is so prominent that we have all these different fight videos going on. For what? Is it for our amusement? We have kids being beaten half to death, if not dying, sitting right there, and you have people just recording that. Where are your morals and values? What do you value? To sit and watch somebody get beaten half to death, blood spewing. For what? And that's when we figure out, okay, maybe God is hiring. Maybe he's hiring for people to judge. And we take that on. Who are we to judge? Whatever that person did, they don't deserve that, to get beaten half to death. We don't deserve to be in a household and get beaten half to death. We don't deserve that. So where are the people helping? Where are the people that are standing up for that person that's getting beat to death in front of you? The person that's at Leflore in the courtyard getting beat up, that's at Viger with the gun, that's doing this, doing that, because they're lashing out. Who's looking out for them? Who's looking out for them? Fighting for reputation. It's a quote that I used to say often. Children fight for reputation. They fight for others to have a positive outlook on them or a negative outlook. They fight for what other people think about them. But when you become an adult, when you become a man, when you become a woman, then you fight for character. You fight for the aspects that show who you are as a person, who you are as a man or a woman. All right? We have to learn as youth. We have to learn how to cope with life on life's terms, when life comes with different obstacles, when it comes with different challenges, because we're going to get those. We're going to get challenges. We're going to get obstacles thrown at us in life. So how do we deal with it? Do we just give up? Do we? No, we don't. We learn how to live life on life's terms. So what is living life on life's terms? It's rolling with the punches as life throws them. It's speaking fluently. It's trying to take every day better than the last. It's growing from where you've been. It's looking at somebody and helping the next person, right? Living life on life's terms. It's making sure that you do everything possible to progress and to complete your vision, your goals. What is your vision? I was at the library, Tomerville Library, right before I came here, and there were some guys that were out there, and it was like 3 of them. They were chanting, and they were saying, yeah, I'm going to graduate on this day, graduate on that day. So I walked up to them and I said, what's your plan afterwards? Man, I'm just trying to graduate. I'm just trying to do this. So we have to figure out what's our goal after this. We can't just stop right here. We can't just let this be the end of the road. We can't let this be the last line that we take. We have to keep marching and moving forward. We have to make sure that every step we take, every breath we take is to help ourselves, not only ourselves, but other people. Because we're not here just for us. We have a purpose. Everybody in this room has a purpose. All right? So one of my third problems that I wanted to talk about is that in the last decade, 286 kids were murdered due to school violence. Now, the last time I checked, school is supposed to be a place where you learn and you get nurtured for how to live life, right? It's a place where you're supposed to advance. But now we have kids bringing knives to school, bringing guns to school. And the last time I checked, guns were designed to be used in war zones. So when did a school become a war zone? When did a place where I'm supposed to be fed knowledge become a place where I have to duck and hide in closets because somebody else is lashing out with a weapon? Where is the safety net? Why is it now that everything we do, even in the comfort of our home, we're getting our doors knocked down for no reason at all? Or for a reason derived from nothing, through the police that are doing this and the police that are doing that, and these gangs that are doing this and gangs. It's just violence everywhere I look. So what's going on? What's the problem? What are they dealing with? They're dealing with their own issues that they don't have an outlet to talk about. They're dealing with a voice that's not getting heard. They're dealing with a cage that they're stuck in and can't get out. All right? And we have to figure out, how can we get out of this cage as a person? We see all these different things, but we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. We can only change this mind. I can't change that mind, but I can plant a seed. And it's up to you and your parents and your surroundings to be able to water that seed. Seed has to be watered in order for it to grow. But if I plant the seed here and you go out that door into that same environment and it's not watered, then the seed dies. So who's responsible for the water? Is it the village of social media, or is it the village of our households? Is it the village of the teachers that are here? The village of the people that are running this program here? The village of the men that are at the gas stations and doing this and doing that? You as a whole are the village that you have to make. You as a whole are the person that has to stop what's going on. We are fighting each other, and we're fighting the soldiers that are supposed to be fighting with us. You're fighting the soldier sitting next to you. Why is that? Because we're angry, because we're hurting, because we're dealing with our own issues. I challenge everybody to find an elder. When he asked me about this, they said, put forth some solutions, not just a problem, put forth some solutions. So I came up with a couple of solutions. One of the solutions were to find an elder. And when I say an elder, I mean somebody older that you can talk to and express yourself to. Because in our generation now, only thing that we're doing is expressing ourselves to the person that's doing the same behavior. I've never learned anything from a man who agrees with me, who says, yeah, you're right. Give me something else. Give me another route. Give me something else to think about, another way to look at something. So that's why I say, find an elder, find somebody wise that can give you some knowledge. And as you as a person make that knowledge grow into wisdom and apply it. Because wisdom is applied knowledge. Secondly, my second solution, find out where you are spiritually. Because spiritually, we have to figure out where our morals and values come from. We have to figure out where we stand as a person. We have to figure out, for one, who gives us our power? Who gives us our voice? Who wakes us up in this morning? And who am I doing this for? The actions that we have, the goals that we set forth, and what we do when this person comes up to us and says, you know, hey, God, I don't like the shoes that you have on. And how we react to that is an image of who we reflect, right? Is how we learn to cope with different things, how I respond. It's not the issue, it's not the problem, it's how I respond to the problem. So I just wanted to enlighten you all a little bit, and I hope that you get something and have received something from a couple of things that I've said today. I just want to leave you all with a scripture that I read, Ephesians 6 and 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Fight the powers to be, and stop fighting the soldiers that sit next to you. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everyone? Good. My name is Amberly Harris. I am the promotions director of WBLX, WDLT, WGOK, and WABD. And I'm also Bambi, the Down South Diva, on 93 BLX. Thanks for the love. Growing up, I grew up in Happy Hill. Y'all know about Happy Hill? So of course I saw plenty of violence, plenty. I have seen a woman get shot square in the face in broad daylight. I have seen mothers beat their children. I have seen husbands beat their wives. Mind you, I'm 5, 6 years old. I don't even get it. I don't even understand. So as a child, violence was something that has happened all throughout my life. My biological father was not in my life. So growing up, I only had the love from my mother, my grandfather, things like that. So as a woman, there's certain things that we desire that your mother cannot necessarily give to you, which is like love from a male. And I was in a relationship that was so detrimental to me that I could have died. As a matter of fact, I was looking down the barrel of a gun, and that's what got me out of that relationship. Yeah, he said he loved me. Yeah, he said I was beautiful, bought me things, took me places. But he also was emotionally abusive. He was verbally abusive. But it was because of things he had within himself that he was taking out on me, which reflects what he said. Sometimes people allow their own issues to succumb them to become this terrible person, and instead of them dealing with it, they take it out on others. So with us being in this relationship, we had our good times, but I could look to the left, and it could be a guy standing to the left. He would accuse me of dealing with this guy, and he would jump on me in front of people. He had no type of filter at all. Being that I had no father, I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted him to love me. And since he told me he loved me, I took it for so long. He was unfaithful. It was to the point to where I degraded myself to simply please him. Never put yourself in that position. You deserve the utmost at all times, 100%, no matter what. And it took me going through that situation to understand that. As a female, we have to fight so hard to keep the best reputation, to keep the best jobs, to keep ourselves together, to be a good mother. We have to fill so many spaces to where we lose ourselves trying to please others. You don't have to do that. As long as you're doing what you feel you should do and you're happy, you're healthy, and you're safe, that's all that matters. It is never okay for anybody to be abusive, male or female. Yeah, we get on the guys a lot for putting their hands on females, but females put their hands on males as well. Either way, it's never okay, ever. Don't ever feel like you can't talk to somebody. Yeah, they tell you, if you tell anybody I'll kill you, take that risk of dying. Because if you don't say anything, you may very well end up dead. Unfortunately, the few women that we lost back end of July, all of their friends said, well, they used to argue all the time, but I mean, you know, I never thought nothing of it. I mean, I saw him hit her once or twice, and you did nothing. There are signs. When you see the signs, please read them. It's never okay to be physically abusive, to be emotionally abusive. None of that is ever okay. If you're in a relationship or a situation where anything is anything light of happiness, it is the wrong situation. And it's not okay. Tell somebody. I grew up, like I said, in Happy Hill. I had a really good friend named Ashley. And when we went off to college, I went to South, she went to Virginia. She was working at this place called CarMax, and she was the credit specialist where they run background checks and things like that. And there was a guy who would always come up to her job trying to pursue her. He would send her flowers, he would show up, he would send her certificates to the spa, and she was just kind of falling for him. So of course, with her being able to do background checks, she ran his background, and it came back that 2 years prior, he had kidnapped his ex-girlfriend and had her hog-tied in a warehouse, torturing her. Yeah, all of this was in the report. Well, when she found that out, she cut off communication. She blocked his number. Somehow he ended up at her job. She changed locations. This guy basically became a stalker. One day she was at the hairdresser with her best friend. The guy saw her walk into her car and he snatched her up. Her best friend was right there. He snatched her up, threw her into the car. The girl was missing for 2 days before her friend said anything. Her mom was blowing her phone up. So of course, we find out through reports that he had slit her throat, beat her to death, snatched her hair out, and raped her. And her friend never said a word. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you're dating. It could just be the wrong person at the wrong time. My whole point is never okay, and never be that person to not say anything. Help the next person. If something doesn't look right to me, I'm gonna say something. We can eliminate so many things by simply speaking up. We're all doing the ice bucket challenge to raise awareness. So let's raise awareness about domestic violence. If you know your friend is in an abusive relationship, tell her mama, tell her daddy, tell the teacher, somebody. If we take a stand and start at the bottom, we can make it go all the way to the top. But it starts with us.
Good evening, everybody. What's going on? How y'all doing? My name is Jarvis Wright. It's a raspberry. One of my coworkers brought me up here. Kind of at the spur of the moment at the job. I'm a youth detention officer at Strickland Youth Center. So if some of you guys come on up in there, you probably have to come through me. No, just kidding. But I see this was a domestic violence thing, so I had experience with bullying. I also graduated from Leflore High School to class of 2000. Also, I was part of the Imperial Night Service Club in arcades in here. And I was also part of the band also. Alright, moving along. Well, with me, I grew up, nice parents, decent home. Had everybody in my life, mother, father. Went to private school. I was around a lot of white kids. Got the Dunbar. It was a totally different change. First day, got to school. I'm dark skinned, so I get picked on a lot. Black this, black that, black this, black that. You talk proper. Why you talk like that? Over time, I got into fights because I didn't know how to handle that. I would tell teachers at school sometimes, but it never really solved the issue. From 6th grade Dunbar all the way up until I got here, I had the same problem, getting to the fights. First time I ever get into serious trouble was 6th grade Dunbar. Got suspended 3 days. 3 days. I had fights that my parents didn't even know about. In the locker rooms, outside, around the schoolyard. Nobody knew about it. I probably had at least about 20 fights 6th grade year. Got to high school. It kind of decreased a little bit because I was able to handle it a little bit better. But the thing is, don't try to do things to fit in either because of your color or you may be different from other people. Because growing up, I had a lot of talents and skill. I'm a musician also. I've been in music all my life. Most people didn't know that I had a lot of skills because I kept it to myself. Because when you're doing something different, your peers will attack you. Oh man, you weak, man. That junk weak, bro. Why you doing that? Why you doing this? Why you doing that? But bullying is also an act of violence too. It's verbal. And when you don't really know how to deal with that, you can spark off at any given time. And it's sometimes it's just really difficult to deal with. But as time grew on with me, I learned how to cope with it. I still have to deal with it now, but I'm grown now, so a black joke here doesn't bother me. But back then, growing up as a kid, it really kind of took a toll because I was getting into fights all the time because people were picking on me all the time. I'm not gonna really hold you long, but I just wanted to say that sometimes you have to walk away from a situation also when you see it happening. Sometimes it's the best solution to do that, just to walk away. You may feel like, oh man, some people try to provoke you to get into a fight or do something stupid to where you be thinking about the situation for a long time for making that big mistake. And sometimes bullying can lead to violence when you bring in the gun to school because you may not want to fight this person because they may be bigger than you. When you bring a gun to school, you already know what's going to be the outcome of that. Matter of fact, I know y'all probably might have heard the incident that happened in Viga yesterday. Kid brought a gun to school. Luckily, the gun didn't go off and kill this kid. Now this kid is looking at in juvenile it's a little bit different. But what I'm just trying to say is, you don't want to get to that point to where you have to bring a gun to school or a weapon to school. Sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away from the situation. You may think it may be weak, is the best solution. That's my time. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Can we give all of our speakers a hand clap?
I want to ask somebody out in the audience, anybody want to answer? This is just a scenario, just to see where you at. If you agree with everything you heard, can you give us a hand clap? The second most important thing I want to ask you, young ladies, if you have a best friend and she's in an abusive relationship and she make you promise her not to say anything, would you say something anyway, or would you not? Absolutely. I just want to see where you at. Yeah, she said if you don't jump on it first. I just want to it's like I said before, it's taboo in the black community, and a lot of it affects your children, and children that grow up and they see this kind of stuff, it affects their psyche, and it's something that just wears and tears on them, and eventually they become an abuser. So we want to just nip that at the bud. And I just like to thank everybody for coming out, and I know we're going to do a Q&A or something like that. Mr. Raspberry. All right, we're going to